Hey, what's up, nerdies, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Invincible Season 3. My name's Dave, and joining me because of the consequences of his past actions, my co-host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Karma's real.
What's
up, David?
It is. You made a decision one time, and now you're stuck with me forever.
Whatever you sow, you will reap. African proverb says.
Andrew was all like, oh yeah, I'll help Dave with this one podcast this one time. And now?
2 years ago, 1 year later, at least. Sleepless nights.
Yep, he is back. We're here to talk Invincible Season 3, Episode 7. What have I done? Earth's greatest heroes join forces to fight an unimaginable threat. Andrew, this episode is full, like just like you, it's full of consequences of actions. It's full of redemptions, maybe. It's full of...
That's one way to put it.
full of twists, deaths, and everything in between. What do you think, spoiler free?
Oh, this episode was a bone breaker, man. it really was solid in terms of just kind of some action scenes, some pushing the plot points of this season to a I don't want to say chaotic conclusion because it hasn't concluded, but my point being, like, it was giving some almost vibes of that season 1 Omni-Man taking Invincible throughout the town, beating him. It had a kind of that feeling for me, right? What I'm saying is, it was a great episode. I loved it. I thought it was amazing to see all the different fights that we got to see. There were just some, that one moment that just, it literally broke me. So I really enjoyed this episode. Had me screaming at the TV at times, which I think is just, when a show can elicit emotions in you and you're like, come on, man, do it. I think that's a good sign. So I'm really excited, and the way it ended, right? For it to have all that and end in that way, I feel like it's one of those where you comic book readers are like, y'all just wait. Because I'm on all these Reddit subreddits, people are just like, oh, they ain't seen nothing yet. And I'm like, can they stop saying that? Like,
I would say this is probably the best episode of the season. And I would say this season so far is probably the best season of the show. This episode, I will put it down to 3 words: responsibility, sacrifices, and consequences. And I think that really kind of captures this whole episode. And then the ending, if you don't know what the title means, look up what the title for Godzilla -1 means. That's what it feels like. It feels like, I'll give it to you. -1, the title of Godzilla -1, it refers to the fact that Japan had just suffered the defeats at World War II with the bombing and everything like that. And while they're in that -1 place, Godzilla attacks. I'm like, really? Now? The worst time? And that's what I feel.
A great one. Yeah.
It reminded me of Godzilla -1. All right, let's go into full spoilers because there's so much to talk about. Andrew, what did you feel about this episode with the multiple marks, dealing with the fact that the themes of this episode of the season have come together in the sense of consequences of actions, and also, deeds. Are there such thing as good deeds, and also forgiveness? We've been talking about the forgiveness of Nolan, a question that's been coming up from Oliver's point of view, but a lot of that is also, it can't happen because of how things have been perceived and how people perceive Nolan, right? They can't change the perception of him, which comes to a head in this episode where ultimately Angstrom's goal is to completely change the perception of Invincible. He even says, doesn't matter if they find out that it wasn't him.
It still was you.
It still was you, and the damage is done. So what do you think of finally Angstrom's plan finally coming to the forefront?
Diabolical, very, very, reverse flash of him, or who else saw his name? Is it the Joker? Who is it I'm thinking of? Anyways, first of all, his head. Can we just first talk about him not being dead? Like,
how do you think of his survival moment? How he's
like, it's just so disgusting, right? And the fact that he was just able to use his hand and make his portal and get out, I was literally screaming at the TV, like, no. I mean, again, this is what we always say on this podcast. If you pay attention, double tap. Zombieland. Double tap, Mike. You need to make sure. Think, Mark. Think.
I mean,
So
his whole
stressful.
head was exploded. I don't know if
Nah,
Mark.
man. No, these are tough lessons, man. You need to take it a step further. There's a reason There's a reason you decapitate, which not gonna get to the immortal killing yet, was my highlight killing of the episode, right?
Yeah.
But that's how you do it, Mark. You see what he did. That's how you just step the head off. You just make sure. So, anyway, Angstrom is such a, you know. First of all, shout out, people who watch Paradise.
Oh yeah,
voice actors, a little nice touch for him.
Sterling K. Brown.
He really does a good job, I think, with Angstrom, right? Just portraying that, and the fight scene with him and obviously I'm jumping all around, but the fight scene with him and Invincible was, at least I agree, it was one of the fights where I feel like I'm finally starting to watch Invincible. I'm not just watching, Mark the superhero fighting. It's like, it started to have the tough in airbender type moves, right? With his like little rock stop jump, like all those like little moves that he didn't have before. I started to see like a little bit of strategy to his fight. So I really enjoyed this fight because it wasn't just a like punch. And I think Angstrom did a good job of really showing like the extent to how his powers. Reminds me of, did we mention that? Spider-Man villain, what's his name? From Across the Spider-Verse, same powers. The second movie, Spot.
Well, similar because of the the portals.
Yes, exactly. But I love a good portal user, and when they show the extent, like his swarm of drones, just like
that was great.
The various things that he brought just to counter the fact that Mark knew about his counters. It was just, I thought it was a sometimes I feel like rematches don't often like live up to the spectacle. I think this did for me, right? It's like, this is a rematch, and this is like, yeah, they've both actually upped their game, right? And I just really enjoyed it, as you can tell, and just all the way to the end when he was like, fix me, and they're like,
excuse you,
I mean,
excuse you,
you don't even say please.
Excuse you?
We're gonna go with no, Angstrom. So yeah, I enjoyed
you can't
everything.
Say no.
So right,
because you sound. I love there's a line they said. Sorry to cut you off. There's a line where they said, they say, refuse, and your remains will gift us endless fascination.
I'm just like, whoa, sorry, excuse me. I don't know what kind of thread that is, because it's like,
but going back to that fight, I agree with you. Visually, it was done really well. That swarm of drones, I really love that. And we've talked about this countless times through the season about the power scaling and how we started off the season showing that Mark is super strong, but we've had many opportunities where it's like, that doesn't mean shit.
It's still not strong enough. Yeah.
Well, it's just a case of like physical strength is one thing, yes, but it doesn't win everything in a fight, because you can be as strong as hell, but thousands of drones smacking you in the face hurts, right? And it's like you can't even get a grip of where to fight, what directions, hitting in all directions. You punch one doesn't mean it's stopped. They found a good way of kind of being creative with how people attack Mark, and I thought that was really, really well done. And Angstrom, yeah, I agree. I think my only nitpick with the Angstrom story is that I wish they did a better job of, though I understand because it leads to his betrayal, of how he's able to convince these other Invincibles to work for him.
Yeah, like they were just there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wish we saw a little bit of rounding up the team.
And then understanding the deal he gives to them.
Even in their worlds, or just knowing like just slightly more about them.
Even though ultimately we could get some of them, like one of them is just like, I don't want to kill anyone, I just want to meet my mom. And then some of them one of them misses
Not
William.
all of us killed our mom.
Yeah.
So funny,
I did like that. But I think with Angstrom, I also found his, like, do you think this is his end? Like, is this how we're ending his story?
When you say end, you mean like of him as a person? Because I was
his narrative, his narrative, like in terms of his narrative with Invincible.
I don't think so. Because
now he has to fulfill the will of the technicians, right? Do they have a goal to go after Invincible? Because that's the only way I can see Angstrom coming back.
Yeah.
Or he escapes. Can he escape? Again, I'm acting like I don't know the comics, so
I know. I'm almost impressed. I'm watching your micro expressions. Like, look at this guy. I was like, is he leading me somewhere? Is this? I don't know, but I'm intrigued because like I just I know so little about them to know what their their plans are. But it just feels like one of those where that did not feel like the last time him and Mark were going to meet. That's my feeling. That's all I have to say.
Okay, let's go to the Mark variants. We
All
see
right.
them. We see them
list.
in various positions. I wanted you to pick which attacks did you like. I mean, the attacks in general across the globe were done really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when we saw some of the other teams sending out people and they're like, if you're dead, tell us so we can send other people.
Yeah, like whoa.
I thought it was a good global attack to kind of showcase one. This is like preemptive for what Viltrumites would do. Mm-hmm. You know, these are half Viltrumites, and look how much damage they're able to do. But also, again, talking about strength, it's stated that they're not as strong as Mark individually, right? What do you think of the overall attacks, and which one's some of your best interactions?
I thought it was interesting one that they're not as strong as Mark. I was trying to reason.
I mean, maybe they didn't go through the training month. Again,
they
Mark
seem
went
like
through
lazy.
specific training, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, I'm assuming most of them being on Dad's side, they might not have had the ordeal that Mark had to go through, which made him have to overcome internally. So it's also nice to know that our Mark is that basically all his training has been worth it, right? It's you know, I like seeing that in shows where the training arc isn't it's yes to get stronger, but always justifying that no, you had to get stronger, right? So that was nice. Now my favorites, I don't know his name, but obviously the one that got rid of Immortal. Which Mark is that?
The one that attacks the Guardians?
Yes.
GDA, no goggles, Invincible is his name.
No goggles on it. So that was my favorite in terms of just pure like chaotic, and then you know, sorry, just to say it now, the one I hate is the one that broke Eve's leg because it was so fast.
I think that was Omni-Man Invincible.
Omnivince,
so it makes
right?
sense.
It does, but it was and that's I think one thing I love about this show and these you know semi-Viltrumite boys is that brutality in battle, right? Because you know I watch a lot of shows where you see people like pulling their punches unnecessarily and you're just like why, but the speed at which he broke her leg, like because I think he broke her barrier, got her leg and broke it. It was like it literally I definitely let out a squeal. And
it's a great way to showcase that even though Mark is a lot stronger, it should remind us that he's constantly holding back, even when he's angry. You know, he's still holding back because he could fight in such a ruthless way that they do.
Like look at the things he could do.
right. Even when one of them was fighting the GDA, taking them all out, it was just like, oh, this is amazing. Keep bringing them up. He's just like having fun, keep taking them all out. I was just like, damn. I like the constant reminder of the running joke of the mummy. I think his name.
He appears every season, right? I had to look him up. I won't lie, I'm bad. I saw him and I was like, who is? And then I looked online. I remembered after I saw him online because he's been in every season. But I hear he's not in the comics, right? It's purely a TV show thing.
Yeah. I think there's a tease if I can remember, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I just the constant like he wants to take over the world, but shit happens, he just gets destroyed or stopped.
It's just like sad. I need a host. Do you think do you think that's going to turn into something, or is that just going to be a running joke?
I think it might be a running joke that becomes something because it's an underestimated joke, right? Yeah. So I think that's where it can kind of lead to something. Yeah. Let's talk about the sacrifice. The teen team. Do they have an official name? Team. You know, because even Bulletproof's like, I'm a grown ass man. Yeah, like, you got to change their name. Like, initially, before when the attacks happened, Rex and Ray are together, and Ray wants to go help, and Rex is like, no, you can't go back the same day that you just quit. Like, it made sense, you know. Even though you started getting that feeling.
I already had the feeling, but that was the exact moment I knew. It was literally in that moment. I was just like, no, oh God.
So when it comes to the fight, he kind of makes a sacrifice to distract enough for the team to get away. I loved when he's like, idiots, they don't even know when I'm lying.
Right. I
And
can't believe
yeah,
it made me like Rex to remove
right.
him.
What did you think of his sacrifice? Charging his own skeleton. Ooh.
It gave Phosphorus vibes in Creature Commandos.
Mm.
She listened to our previous podcast. Rex, just everything. I knew I took the bet with my wife at the beginning of the episode. As soon as him and I've been suspecting, with him and Ray seemingly trying to be happy and then looking for a normal life, but it was just as soon as he didn't let her follow him, and then when he did the little gambit move on the trash can to explode it, I was like, yeah, this is one of those yep, like literally pound for pound gambit. So it's actually sad because again this season Rex has really grown to be one of my faves, and I would not have expected that before. He went from annoying to just like a good friend and guardian, and I really enjoyed his honest direction. It's almost sad that his death wasn't, when I say more meaningful, it sounds weird because it was an Invincible clone. Like I almost wish it was like
Nolan.
or even Angstrom.
Angstrom himself. Yeah.
Right. Or one of the Viltrumites, he took half his arm. Just one of those. But that's neither here nor there because he still did some good work. And I think again just goes to show how strong Invincible is compared to these are the extents these people have to go to in order to get rid of one of Mark's subpar versions. It's just kind of crazy.
Well, also again, just thinking about it, as much as I would have agreed with you to have seen him make a bigger sacrifice, I think it also goes to show you the stakes,
the severity of the situation.
A major character can get taken out by in a moment that's not necessarily an extreme moment, the most extreme moment,
the most exactly like this.
Exactly.
And this really was the appetizer fight, and and that's how crazy that was.
It wasn't to save the day; it was to buy them time. And that's how bad things are getting, and I think it serves to show that. But in terms of his sacrifice, I did like it because he talked about his need to not want to retire. This is what he loves doing, and so in a kind of bittersweet way, you can say he died doing what he loved doing.
It's the only way he could go out. He had the chance to get out, he refused. Especially after what he went through.
And it wasn't just about defeating a villain; it was about saving his friends. And I think that's what added the more meaningful depth to it. But here's my question: what do you think Ray does next? How does this affect her?
That's actually a messy one for her, right? Like,
does she come back?
She came back to the team to find Rex, to fall in love with Rex, to leave the team with Rex, not really, because he stayed. So it's like she can't just go. I feel like she can't go back, but she can't not go back at the same time. She's between a rock and a hard place. I almost feel for her, right? She's definitely gonna feel that, or again, wipe your tears. She might be like, yeah, that's why I left. So let me just stay out, right? I don't know that I see her. Because she got eaten, right, by a lizard person. Listen, when she reminded me, I was like, I get it, sister. That's not fun. They didn't even hold a parade for you or anything, right? Like, no, it's okay. So I feel like I don't think life is black or white. So I think there's more things you can do than join the Guardians or not fight again. She might pick a new path. I'm not sure which way she goes, but I do want to see more of her.
Do you think her path, whatever it is motivated by any kind of revenge? Yes. Or is it just to live her life? Which do you think will be?
I think some revenge. I feel like some part of her has to feel like, if I was with him, would he have not died? Right? I just suspect that guilt will be inside her, which could lead her to be like, yes, I'm going to do X because of Rex. Who knows? Because she could start a charity, or she could start her own superhero gang. I'm not limiting what she does, but I think she definitely is gonna be a little bit stricken by that, because wasn't she? I'm assuming she was driving to the. Oh yeah, she was in the car.
It seemed like she was driving there, like breaking his rule, and just like, I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, which might sting a little bit more, right? Because she'll be like, oh, I should have just gone when I wanted to in the beginning. But also, I also find it so funny, and I love that you just see like superheroes driving cars. Because not everybody has super speed or can fly.
Exactly, or teleport or whatever.
How else do you think I was going to get there? Like, what?
Speaking of guilt, that's again this whole episode and season kind of plays on Mark's guilt, right? Seeing his faces, destroying so much, understanding, why people might hate him, and also starting to really feel, this is how people will see my dad, right? And in that kind of case, and then on top of that, when he finds out we see the return of Powerplex, right? Powerplex is very happy to fight all the Invincibles
that
clones.
was so funny. I was wondering, sorry, how could I forget? That was so funny. He almost like a kid in a candy store, but an angry version.
Right? It was like, you're Invincible, die, die. and so I even like when there's a quote that when Eve is trying to make Mark feel better, that Mark says, again, this episode, this whole show is about consequences, sacrifices, and the tragedy that embraces all of that. She talks to him about, Powerplex finally getting the help he needs in prison. And I like the line that Mark says, the help he needs because the fight with my dad killed his sister and niece, or the help he needs because my fight with him killed his wife and son. I was like,
it's like, I mean, or a little bit of a little mix. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, actually.
and I just think, again, even this episode, it almost makes Powerplex feel validated, right? He's like, you see, I told you this is something that could happen, not necessarily in this exact way, but just showing the danger of it. And I think Mark starts to ask the question of like, am I helpful, right? Yeah. I mean, what do you think when Cecil offers him to lead the team after everything's all done?
It was just funny. I kind of like that despite everything, him and Cecil had this to bring them together, right? I guess we'll talk about Cecil a little bit after, but, I also still get it from Mark, like, it's almost like, no, because he kind of says that, right? Where it's like this, after all this, don't think we're friends. Which I was like, I mean, Mark, one, calm down. Like, I feel like you have to pick your battles, and it's clear that you are ill-equipped for whatever may be coming next.
I mean, the Reanimen did come in handy.
I mean, it's clear that if they didn't exist, there would be more death. Period. Right? So, I think it's good, especially because this was not such a rosy world. Like, Mark also kind of needs to he also needs to grow up a little bit to me, just to be a little bit realistic as to what the world is. But I also get it from his point of view. But long story short, I like that Cecil at least is mature enough to not just, I mean, obviously it wouldn't. I mean, literally fake marks were trying to kill. Look how much it took for them to take down a fake mark.
But I think, I think they're both right. I think there's
Cecil and Mark.
Yeah, Cecil and Mark both. And I think Cecil is starting to see Mark's point of view, and I think they're both starting to see each other's point of view. Because even when Cecil offers, someone to talk to, Mark's like gives him the cold shoulder, but then it's like, okay, but thanks. Right? Yeah. There's still a glimmer of hope that there's something, and even Cecil
just a little bit
didn't need to make that offer. And I think Cecil's learning that the issue isn't that what Cecil proposes. The issue is that Cecil just goes and does it without any conversations with anybody. And like the fate of the world, everyone has a play to put in it, but Cecil's making the only decisions. And I think that's where the issues come from, is like, if we talked about it, discuss it, maybe we can all agree on what that ultimately we need to do, XYZ, to save everyone. And maybe we can come up with different methods, or maybe we agree to your method, but at least it's a group effort, right? As opposed to you making the decisions by yourself. And yes, there are times where you can make decisions, but don't put a bomb in my head without telling me, please.
Yeah, right. Like, I think that's a very clear one to say, where it's like, don't hack my body.
Right.
Like, at least that.
like we can, I understand the need for an army, but let's figure out a way to do it without, like, breaking our morals. Because at the end of the day, why are we saving the world if we're just going to do the same thing that the bad guys do in order to save it? So I think we're coming to this kind of happy medium, understanding that, yes, things aren't so black and white, but a lot of things can be helped or sorted just with a conversation. Let's talk to each other. We're supposed to be a team, right? And so I like that we're going in that kind of direction. But in terms of also the guilt, one of the things that keeps going forward again is Mark realizing that through these Invincibles, he's seeing what he's supposed to be.
He's to be, technically.
Right, he could have been what he's supposed to be. So when he's beating Armstrong, Oliver's just like, kill him.
Yeah,
Kill him!
Oliver is so funny. But the best and worst part is like Oliver was right though. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not like we see the ramifications, but he escaped again, right? And my thing with that from Mark was like, bro, you killed him before, right? You thought you did, right? You thought you killed him before.
But he felt the guilt of that, right?
But my point is, it's the same guilt. Like, it's the same guilt. Just rope it together.
But that's the thing that plays, right? And that's the conundrum, right?
Yeah.
You want to show Oliver that you can be better. Right? That for us, it's so easy to kill, make me better than that. But where do you draw? And this is the superhero conundrum, right? Do you take the easy way around? This is what Joker was trying to prove to Batman in the Dark Knight, where it's just like everybody talks about being morally high, but as soon as the shit hits the fan, everyone throws those morals out the window and goes to their base meanings. But as a superhero, Mark's trying to show that I can't go there because I go there, I be like them, and guess what? I'm stronger than all of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you start drawing the line? And kind of trying to Oliver, where it's like, not only where do you draw the line, who makes the decisions of who killed, right? Because you kill one, you start saying, okay, I decide who's killed, and that's how we get to Emperor
Mark.
Or Emperor Mark and Immortal, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of future that kind of showcases that's the line it can lead down. So again, I always say that I love seeing these kind of moral conundrums because there are reasons to kind of side both sides. Yes, exactly.
It's like again, I love Man of Steel. Sorry, just that him and Zod, right? And he had to kill him in that moment. It feels like some of those where like I like when superheroes are faced with this question, and sometimes maybe you do have to. I think is the one thing that rings in my mind because look at the damage somebody's causing. It's very tricky.
But then it becomes, and that's the thing though. It's what I love about these conversations is that you start asking, okay, but ramifications come in all forms and shapes.
Yeah.
Right. You can kill someone, but the visuals of creating that now you inspire other heroes that's an option.
That's what you should now do. It's like, we're killing now.
Yep. And then that becomes the first option.
Yeah.
And that becomes the only option.
The default option. No.
Right.
And then police brutality.
We start lowering the line
barometer of what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So now you get to like a state where, someone downloaded an illegal movie. Kill him.
Yeah.
And that's why I say like, but again, that's why I love these stories where you see like dystopian worlds and narratives in sci-fi, right? It always starts with someone saying, we need to take control and make everything peaceful. And then that peace becomes control, right? They always have this need
There's
to
always
help.
Like it goes in a certain direction, but
exactly.
Then it becomes,
I'm doing this for good reasons. And
abuse of power.
I mean, that's what the Viltrumites are doing, right? As a whole, we're taking over these planets because we're here to protect them.
Yeah.
Control the rules. And I think, again, yes, it's overall guise of protection, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're taking power control for yourself. And again, absolute power corrupts absolutely and all that jazz. And again, I love that we're seeing these conversations because there's also one thing to say it. And that's what I like about this show, because I like to be someone that is on the side of, what doesn't matter how far you go. Superman should not have snapped Zod's neck because what makes Superman super is beyond his physical strength.
Yeah.
Right? Superman will figure out another way beyond what humans can figure out. Where we see there is no way, Superman will find a way.
Nah,
but then I always say, okay, but if I was in that situation, would I still have those morals in the moment?
Exactly.
But then I say, well, that's why I'm not Superman.
I mean, right. Is that the reason why?
I think that's for me. That's the difference between a superhero and a villain. I think that's why I like the Dark Knight, where with Batman, he's constantly that person that lives on that edge. That if I cross that line,
because he's like he knows. Like Pringles, once you pop, you don't stop.
Right? Exactly.
He's
exactly.
Like, don't.
And that's the battle, right? That's the hard for someone like Superman. It's easy to punch. It's easy to fly. What's hard for him is to not.
Yeah.
To hold back. It's like the Spider-Man thing. I liked when Mark going through his issues when he's in the hospital with Eve. Where he's giving up. He's just like, let other people do it.
Yeah.
I liked
The
when
parents walking.
Cecil was just like, I'm just saying, if you don't want to help, that's cool. But just so you know, Eve's not going to like that when she wakes up.
He's going to be like, you a bitch.
Everybody else was fighting and you stayed here. What do you think of that whole interaction? And Mark finally meeting her parents.
Their parents and grumpy dad. Like that guy's, whoever draws him is the easiest job because he's just always grumpy. Just like, yeah, I mean, Mark, I get it, but like, Cecil's right. You're actually not doing anything there. The line that got me, because I was still like, no, but it's Eve. He loves her, and Cecil's like, your mother and brother are out there. I was like, yeah, wait, Mark, hold on. Eve is most fine right now the way she is. Yeah, go find your mother, son.
Though I feel like Cecil knows the right words to use to manipulate. Because he knows he's not doing it like, Mark, we need you, you're our greatest weapon.
Yeah, but that's my point. My point being, like, Mark, you also know you're needed out there, right?
Yes.
Like, there are fake yous out there. Come on, fam.
I think from a storytelling dramatic point of view, I like it because I like having Mark like that, because I never like superheroes that always make the right decisions in the right moment every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Because I agree with you. I agree with Cecil. Mark staying behind is silly and flawed. But I like him from a storytelling perspective to have a flawed character.
Yeah.
Right? Because if he did everything exactly as supposed to do, when it happens, this show would be boring.
Then, 100%.
I wouldn't like that. Anything else that we have talked about? Oh, Immortal. I guess after that battle, getting his head sliced off and thrown into Duplicate. It was like, all right, that's it. We quit.
Yeah,
let's get married.
Which fair enough, though, right? Like, I was like, dude, I hear it, fam. I hear it. Yeah, you deserve a real rest.
It's a callback to that episode where Mark time travels, because Mark's like, oh, you and Duplicate got engaged, and he's like, oh, I had many wives. I don't remember her. So like, that doesn't end up.
This is. But I mean, that doesn't end well. He just outlives her.
Yeah, that's the thing. In that regard, it's not like a happily ever after for them, right? Yeah. So to speak, because he outlived her, but probably, I don't know, that process of seeing her go old and dying, I'm sure did something to their relationship.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't like the best for them. But still, at least I think even getting a portion of time to be happy is still worth it for me.
This is true. This is true.
Well, they deserve it for all.
Maybe for her, not so much for him, because he didn't seem happy by the end of it. Kill me.
Somehow did not end well when you look far into the future.
Other little things. Darkwing. We don't know what happens to him. He takes.
He took the guy into a different dimension,
dark realm or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't see him again. The second time we had a fake out for Shapesmith's death. Right.
I was wondering as well. I was like, is he dead this time? I don't really know how his powers work. Like, it's not moving.
I mean, he mentions like, his like important organs are in different places, so he's fine in that. I
didn't want to know the specifics of what is where, but I really wonder what it takes to actually end him. But somehow I'm happy he's not dead. I kind of like him just sticking around.
Any other moments I haven't talked about? There's probably
Conquest, just the finale, man.
Before we get to the finale,
yeah,
Conquest arrives, and actually before that, I did like the moment where they took a moment to kind of have some of the other teams fight Mark, because they're like, "You're one of those Invincibles," and he's like, "No, it's not."
No, I was like, "Oh gosh,"
I like that. But yes, Conquest's return is like, oh, but this is where I talked about the Godzilla -1. It's like after all that, Godzilla now arrives. Really timing. But Invincible's more like, oh, thank you. I've been wanting to punch something all
finally. I just hope he doesn't regret those words though. Like, I was a little like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, cool, Mike, but like, I'm a little nervous now.
I think I'm nervous and also not nervous, because at the same time, for me, this symbolizes that Mark finally gets to use the power that he's been training for.
Yeah.
Right? Because we haven't seen him use that full strength. Right? And yes, his face Viltrumites before, but that's when he was previous strength. And so let's see what this looks like. What else? Any other moments that you liked or even talked about?
I just not too like I feel like I'm wondering if no one's coming back next episode. So it's just it's not in the back of my mind, and I'm trying to read your face to see if you give me anything.
Yeah, but that I can't tell you that because I don't know. I've read the comics, but I don't know what
You don't
happens
know where
next episode.
Yeah,
Right?
fair.
I couldn't tell you the next episode. I can tell you overall, but I couldn't tell you when it happens.
We stay tuned. Just shout out all the people that died. Apparently, hundreds of thousands casualties. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that should be missed.
Do you think we're going to see the other Invincible variants again?
Did they get rid of every single one of them?
That's the question.
But
what's get rid of? We don't know where he sent them to.
Also
well, we do
that,
actually.
yeah.
No, actually, we do. They went to that space where Invincible was trapped, and he came back.
And if he can, I assume others can. And yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen the last of them.
And like you said, good
question.
question. Were they all sent away?
I feel like one or two just like, wait, I'm free? Well, yeah, I'm not sure it's gonna go this way.
I liked when one of them was like, "I am strong, you're dead." I think I was like, "You idiot, he can't hear you here." One of the touches I really liked was when Rex makes a sacrifice. We hear the Billie Eilish song when the party's over, and I thought it was a great way to kind of do a needle drop. Needle drops in TV shows and movies sometimes can be a mixed bag where the weight of the emotion is on the song and not the scene.
Yeah,
and I think this did a perfect job of kind of balancing it right, and the song just kind of adds like emphasis to what was happening in that moment. I thought it was very, very, very emotional. This is some of the best action we've seen. I thought this was
I agree.
Really cool action. I loved even seeing Mark kind of like, even just kind of how he's flying, going back to that fight with Angstrom, where Angstrom's trying to push him through the portals and Mark kind of like stopping mid-flight, turning, shifting.
It was literally one of my favorite fights just because it showed Mark's growth. Stopping on the ground, stopping in the air, stopping like you could tell, like I said, all the training like paid off, and I'm just like, go, Mark, go.
I thought it was really, really, really well done. Anything else that we liked that we haven't talked about?
I'm just, seeing, I don't know, I just seen his friend William lift a rock. I was just like,
yes.
Yeah! I would like to no avail. It was just almost like I felt for the guy. He's just been traumatized from the experience, and I'd like to see him step into his hero phase.
It was good to kind of see the global destruction and the effects. I think they did a very good job of showcasing that this is happening everywhere at once. Even what's great about the comics that they can't do here is because the comics are connected to some other properties. So like some other indie comics. So we actually see a lot of like famous comic characters I think we even see Spawn.
Really?
In the comics. Don't quote me, I'll edit that out if incorrect. But I'm pretty sure we see this character like that. And there's a character called Savage Dragon, which is another comic character. So we got other characters in this as we see around the world, but this doesn't have as many because I guess the TV rights to everything.
Fair enough.
But I like the fact there's little touches like mom being okay because she's at Paul's house.
But yeah, so
right, because you get one Invincible go to the house. And she's not there.
That was almost scary because I knew she wasn't there, but I was like, wait, they left, right?
Right. Talk about Donald. We see his inside his skeleton. Yeah. And he's just like, I'm going to save the day. Even though he's left with half a torso.
I like when Cecil was like, well, you're going to die. He's like, that's what I do, sir.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
So you go die. And even at the end, because when they pick him up at the end, he's like his lower body is missing, right? Or lower appendages.
But I even like that we got some of the superheroes actually did defeat some of the Marks.
Right? Yeah, right.
It wasn't just straight out destruction. Right? There was some defeats and wins.
So you can call those wins, but yes.
Anything else that we talked about?
I think those are my notes. Exhausted. Solid episode. I'm just, I feel like the finale is about to mess with me. Especially because I was seeing things on Reddit. Sorry, I shouldn't say because it's a spoiler for anyone. I won't say anything.
Why are you checking Reddit? Why do you
do
this to yourself?
it.
Anyway, on that note, what do you nerdies think of this episode? What do you think of seeing all the Invincible variants doing their thing and giving possibilities of what Mark could have been? And can you name the inspiration for some of these Invincibles? I feel like some of these are being inspired by actual comic characters. I think one of them reminded me of Daredevil.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. They're all based because Invincible's got like a in some aspects he's kind of like Spider-Man, in some aspects he's not,
fair.
and so they always get some kind of inspiration. I mean, Omni-Man was Superman. Fun fact: Omni-Man was initially called Supraman. Supra.
Oh, really?
Right, to switch it up because the Voltrumites are just what's it called, Kryptonians. So it's all it's a lot of inspiration from that. But what do you nerdies think? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also find us an email, thenerdybunchpod@gmail.com. Check out some of our other podcasts. We are currently about to in the final episodes of Severance. We just started Daredevil Reborn, where Raven joins us, and we have more things along the way. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Invincible Season 3, Episode 7, right?
Yes, correct.
Next week, is this the penultimate?
Correct.
My favorite word.
The finale.
Next week's the finale. So tune in. And as always, Andrew,
keep it nerdy.
Peace.